Singing the song of a tzaddik is one of the most powerful ways we can connect ourselves to the essence, to the neshama of that tzaddik. Amongst the many gifts Mordechai ben David has given us over the years is that song, a connection to one of the greatest tzaddikim of our generation, the Ribnitzer Rebbe.
My brother-in-law, who was famous chazan Ari Klein, met the Rebbe at a chasana. He sang at the chuppah, and the Rebbe was Masalik Kedushin, and he was blown away by just his presence and the way he looks and the way he sounded. And he says to me, "You gotta come see this tzaddik." I said, "Okay, let's go." So on a Matzah Shabbos, I met him and I fell in love at first sight, as they say. The Rebbe was electrifying. He was so simple and so humble and so holy. He smiled to everyone and he was always a good word for everyone. And I fell in love with him. I stayed that night until 7 o'clock in the morning. I came home, I remember not sleeping all night, and I just couldn't fall asleep. It was like I was hypnotized.
He started hanging out more and more by the Rebbe, and after a couple of months, an opportunity opened itself, and he became the official gabbai of the Ribnitzer Rebbe. The Ribnitzer Rebbe is known as a miracle worker. He was a modern-day Baal Shem Tov. But more incredible than the miracles that the Rebbe performed was his avodas Hashem, his mesiras nefesh.
His minimum mikvahs a day was twice a day, once before Tikkun Chatzos and once before Shachris. And when I say mikvah means not just like we know a nice hot mikvah, you jump in the mikvah and you toivel and you get out, you take a shower. Most of the people do that today. No, it was completely different. First of all, his avodah in the mikvah was very, very intense. He would toivel and toivel and toivel and toivel. Back in Russia, there was a river called the Dniester River. He had a little axe, make a hole, and jump into toivel in the ice water every day, twice a day, once at night and once before Shachris. Mendel Futterfast, the famous mashpia in Chabad, once told a story at a Fabreng. He was very close with the Ribnitzer. Whenever he had a chance, he would pop in to say hello. So he once arrived in the middle of the winter, and the Rebbe said, "Oh, Reb Mendel, perfect timing. Megait and Wasser, we're going down to toivel." So the Rebbe lived on top of the mountain, on the hill, and he went all the way down, made a hole in the ice, and he said, "No, Mendel, atvile." So Mendel said, "It's a little out of my league." The Rebbe said, the Baal Shem Tov promised that one tefillah will never hurt. He said, "I had no choice. I jumped into the water and I thought I'm going to die." And he said when he came out, it was even colder because it was wet now and it was freezing out there. The Rebbe was very, very, very smooth, very fast. He got undressed quickly. Within seconds, he was in the water. And Mendel says he counted 310 tefillas, shy tefillas. Api Kabbalah, shy tefillas, a very big Inyan, big matria carry. And he toiveled 310 times. He came out, he said his body was like bluish. He got dressed very fast. He said he ran up the hill so fast that he couldn't chase him. When he got to the top of the hill, a shiksa walked by, turned around, went back down, and did another 310 tefillas.
Tikkun Chatzos was another incredible avoda by the Ribnitzer Rebbe.
He would sit every single night b'sak ve'efer, with a sackcloth over his head and tied to his body, with torn clothing and ashes from the matzah bakery. He put a handful b'mokah menachos tefillin, and he would sit on the floor without shoes and socks, mamish like a oval, like someone who cries by a levaya, for hours and hours on end, sometimes between 4 and 6 hours a night. The only time people would see this avodah was on Tisha B'Av. He would come into the Beis HaMedrash with a relatively new kapote, walk over to the Aron Kodesh with a knife, a sharp knife, tear kriya b'shem malchus baruch ato Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam dainu emes, and tear it. And he would sit down on the floor, put the sack over his head and tie it to his waist, without his shoes, without his socks, and he had a box full of ashes, and it was spread all over him. And he would start crying, Eicha. Whoever was Zoicha to see this will never in their life forget this.
Mordechai told me how he was once with the Rebbe in a car in Israel. Knowing how much the Rebbe invests in mourning over the Beis HaMikdash, Mordechai pressured the Rebbe to go to the Kotel.
As we were entering Yerushalayim, I said, "The Rebbe, we're going to Kotel Maravi. Would you like to come with us?" He said, "No. Do you know what I had there?" I said, "What happened? What happened?" So he told me that the last time he was there, the sofer of the Kotel, his name was Rabbi Yaakov Klein, Olav Sholem. He used to take care of the Sifrei Torah, which were inside. He took him in Mul Kodesh HaKadoshim. The Rebbe tells me he went Mul Kodesh HaKadoshim, and 3 pillars of fire shot out of the wall. He said, "I ran for my life. I'm scared to go back there." But I still wanted to see his reaction at the Kotel. Agabe is agabe. So I pressured him, and he agreed to come. But he came out of the car. He did not look up once. He looked down The entire time, his face was flaming fire, and he didn't go all the way to the Kotel. He said, after a few minutes, after a few steps, getting towards the Kotel, he said to me, "Please take me away from me. I can't be here. It's too much." So I asked him to please bench me. I put my head down, put his holy hands on my head, and he benched me by the Kotel Maravi, and we left. On the way back, I said to him, "Rebbe, would you ever want to do Tikkun Chatzos here by the Kotel Maravi?" He said, "I would never live through it."
The Rebbe didn't eat the entire week. He only ate breakfast at 11 o'clock at night. After he davened Ma'ariv, after he saw people, that's when he sat down for a little bit of a bite to eat. He fasted most of his life. When we understand the incredible Mesiras Nefesh and the sacrifice of the Rebbe and his Avodas Hashem, it's no wonder how the Rebbe was able to perform such miracles.
There was a young couple, an American couple, who came to the Rebbe with a little baby, 6-month-old baby on their arms. This little girl was born blind, and they went to all the doctors in the world. They went to the Boston Eye Institute, and they tried everything, and the doctors told them, accept it. That's what it is. Nothing we can do. And the Rebbe didn't take his eyes off the baby the entire time. When I finished telling the Rebbe what they just said, he goes like this, he says, this kid sees. This kid sees. They asked me, what did the rabbi say? I said, I'll tell you what the Rebbe said, but don't ask any questions. Just say Amen and go. So I said, the Rebbe said that this kid sees. So they said, but. I said, don't say but. Say Amen and leave. So they listened to me, they left. Fast forward a couple of years, I'm sitting in my car, and this lady knocks at my window. She says, I am the mother of that child that came to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe told me that this baby sees. I said, no, tachlis. What's the story? She said, absolutely, from that day on, she's absolutely 100% normal. She sees, she goes to school regular, not even glasses.
The Rebbe was in Florida once, and Mordechai ben David was with him. And there was a fellow who came to ask a bracha for his son and daughter-in-law who didn't have children for almost 10 years. And he asked Mordechai ben David if he can go into the room, into the private chambers of the Rebbe and give him a kvittel, ask for a bracha. And Mordechai ben David said, no problem. 10 minutes later, the guy left.
I walk into the room and the Rebbe says, why did you let him in? And I panicked. Like I said, it's the first time he ever screamed at me. And I didn't understand, what happened? I said, Rebbe, what happened? He said, at Chazon's the kitchen, he pressured me so hard that I had to promise him. So I started laughing because I figured whatever the story was, that's it. If he had to promise him, it's a done deal. He gets up from his seat and he says, come here. Goes up to the Amud and he takes the kvittel that his Rav gave him. His siddur was on the Amud he was davening, sticks it into the siddur without looking, just puts it into the siddur, grabs the siddur, and he says to me, turns around to me and says, you're my witness. Ich bin Geuser. He says, you heard? You're my witness. I got the goosebumps. Mamash got the chills when he said that. Because I was sure that this is signed, sealed, and delivered. He opened up the siddur to see where he put the kvittel in. And it came out to Kiddush Levona, and the first line on top, in the Rabbi Yaakov Emden siddur, whoever has a Rabbi Yaakov Emden siddur can check it out. The end of the first line says, Asher b'mamoroi boro. With his word, he created. 9 months later, they had a baby girl, and they didn't have another child for 17 years. 17 years later, they had another child.
The Rebbe insisted on being buried in Monsey, New York. He didn't want his body to be taken to Eretz Yisrael because he wanted people to have the opportunity to come and connect with him at his kever. But one of the most powerful ways we have available to us, through which we can connect ourselves to the Rebbe and to other tzaddikim, is through their songs. The Rebbe would sing this song periodically, especially when it was his Rebbe's yahrzeit.
That middle tenua, which is ya 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 mo yo yo yo, ya 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 mo yo 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 yo, da 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 yo yo yo, da 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 yo yo yo. The Rebbe would sing this tenua at special occasions at his Rebbe's yahrzeit. He was a Talmud of the Stefan Eshter, who was a Rishon Einikel. He was a son of the Rishon's son. So he would mamish with gewaldige dveikis. He would sing this song, and mamish sometimes tears were coming out of his eyes.
That's the way the Ribnitzer Rebbe would connect himself to the past, to his Rebbe, who connected himself to his Rebbe through the power of song. And this is the gift that Mordechai ben David has given the world. This connection, this portal, that we can connect ourselves to this great tzaddik, the Ribnitzer Rebbe.